venturing into everyday narratives and truths. This is Vent. I know everybody's hearing about this story that's trending like crazy. It happened April the 2nd. This was in Frisco, Texas. Happened around, I guess, 10:45 a.m. If anybody know anything about this story, you can leave me some comments. Like I say, you can always like, share, and subscribe to my page. I appreciate that more than anything, and thank you for everyone who's tapping into, this channel today. But anyway, I think we should just go ahead and get into the story. So people that don't really know this story, it starts off, with this guy named Karmelo Anthony, 17-year-old, captain of the track team, also captain of the football team. I'm not sure of what school, but it's a school. Anyway, it's Saturday morning. It's April the 2nd, around 10:45 a.m. Pretty much the track meet ended up getting canceled. So it didn't get canceled. It got postponed, I guess, until the weather probably died down a little bit. Well, anyway, they had these tents pretty much set up for, I guess, all the students and the visitors or whatever, so people can get dressed. So I guess he was taking shelter. But anyway, I guess they had them. I'm not sure if they had them designed, for specific schools or whatever or whatnot. But what it's said to believe is that Mr. Anthony was sitting under the wrong tent. And as he was actually sitting under the wrong tent, it was on the opposite school team. They say that this guy by the name of Austin Metcalf, his twin brother, and from the police report, it says that there was a gang. I mean, not a gang, but from the news, it says a posse. From the police reports, it says a group. So anyway, they say that they actually approached Mr. Anthony and told him that he was sitting in the wrong place and that he pretty much needed to get up and move. This is from my understanding, so I don't really know too much of the story. They say that Mr. Anthony told Mr. Metcalf, "You put your hands on me, you're going to see what's going on. You're going to see what happened." Say Mr. Metcalf put his hands on him. Say that Mr. Anthony reached in his bag, pulled a knife out, stabbed him, and ran off. That the police ended up coming, I guess a few minutes shortly after. Mr. Anthony, while he took off, police caught up with him. Say when the police ended up stopping him, say the first thing that he said was, he put his hands on me. It was self-defense. I'm not really too sure, but they do have a lot of clips. I figured that we probably just go ahead and get into one because I can't give you the story, in detail as far as what actually really happened. But, people always think that they know something and they always have a specific type of narrative. So let's see what they're talking about.
7:43 is the time, and welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Gina Francine. Turning to a developing story this Friday as thousands of people have donated to an online fund supporting a family whose son was stabbed to death at a Frisco ISD track meet. It's one of the ways people are coping with the death of Austin Metcalf. Right now, we want to check in with Fox 4's Ticia Muzinga, joining us live this morning with a message from the family. Good morning to you. Alarming news. We continue to get updates this morning.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Good morning. Yeah, we are hoping to hear more information and get more information about what led up to the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf from court documents later this morning. But the family of Austin Metcalf, the 17-year-old, they have been just sharing stories about what kind of a man he was and details about the final moments while he was here. But police are saying that 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, who attends Centennial High School, stabbed Metcalf in the chest after a fight at Kirkendall Stadium Wednesday morning. The family says they believe the fight started over a seating issue in the stands at a track meet.
Now, that's the first time I actually heard that it was an actual fight. Remember, at first, from what we were told is that he said, "If you put your hands on me, watch and see what happened." And they said that Mr. Metcalf actually put his hands on him. But from this footage, they're pretty much saying that, there was a fight. So I don't know. I didn't even see that in the report, but obviously it is. But I didn't ever see any reports from the witnesses. I've actually only seen them from the police officer. So I'm still waiting to see how much more information I can get.
Hunter Metcalf, the victim's twin brother, told Fox News he did everything he could to save his brother's life.
Yeah, I pushed my hand up there, trying to make it stop, and I grabbed his head and I looked in his eyes. I just saw his soul leave, and it took my soul too.
I'm so sorry.
Well, police are investigating how a knife got into the stadium. Anthony is in the Collin County Jail.
Hold up. Let's get one thing clear. It was not inside of a stadium. They were actually on the field. From what I know, remember they said it was raining. So how would it be inside of a stadium? Unless you're talking about an outside stadium. And on top of that, it was on a Saturday. So we're not too sure, you know what I mean, how it got, you know, he brought it in there, obviously. I mean, if he admitted that he did it, he obviously brought it in there. So we're not even really going to question that at this point. We're just going to finish watching the rest of the video. It's almost over. Let's see what they're talking about.
Jail and is charged with murder, and his bond is set at $1 million. Frisco ISD, however, is rescheduling that track meet where all that happened. They're planning to have it next Monday at a different school, Little Elm High School.
Okay, yeah. So this video actually was taken like 10 days ago. So with the information, you know, it's pretty much updated, you know, with new details and all that. So we'll get into all that pretty soon in a minute. I mean, but as far as this story, like I say, the more I watch a whole bunch of different clips, I start getting a little bit more details about, you know, what actually happened. And it kind of like starts making a little bit more sense. But my only thing about it is I know everybody's talking about as far as, well, what do you think? Do you think he's guilty? Do you think he's going to get off? You know, what do you think is actually going to happen? Well, I'm not really too sure yet, but there are some things that, you know, still, you know, make me question, you know, whether or not, you know, how, you know, prosecutors is going to play out, you know, when it comes to this case. Because there's some details to where I can see how they could trap him in some type of way, but at the same time, hopefully he did things that would cover himself. So let's see what the rest of this talking about.
Back to you.
Well, I guess that's pretty much it on that. So, but like I say, as much as I've seen and heard about this story, it's been kind of like really, really crazy. Like $1 million bond is like, it's insane. I mean, I still haven't heard anything from, you know, Mr. Anthony's parents. It's like they haven't done any interviews or anything like that with them. But I noticed that the father, they've done a few interviews with him, and this dude, man, look, this guy, to me, he's just a mess. And I noticed like the first time that he did an interview, like, you know, he had like on, you know, just like your regular attire, you know, just like a regular, like, I think like a comic t-shirt or something like that. Can't remember what it was. But then I noticed on every single video that he does now, it's like he's pretty much running a campaign pretty much for, you know, like, I'm not sure if it's GoFundMe or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying, that they got, because the family has raised $250,000. You know, that's $50,000 less than what Mr. Anthony has raised. So, you know, the way that I've been paying attention to these interviews and all that, it's like, you know, they're not talking about the incident, but the only thing they're doing is like giving like heartfelt, heartfelt memories, you know, all the good things, you know, about him, which is probably one of the best things to do when somebody passed. Like, I wouldn't want to be talking about the situation that happened, but I can tell that the news is also trying to push a narrative, and they're also trying to sell a story. But I can also at the same time, and I don't want to say nothing that's too wrong and throw people off, but I kind of know how people are when situations happen. And this is the first time where I really have not seen a family cry, not one time, not real tears. Maybe the boy, but if anybody else, no, because now it just seems like everybody just pretty much trying to get some money up out of it. I was watching this interview and I was just like, I don't know, man, just the way they selling it, I'm not buying it, but you tell me what you think.
So, unless you were there, unless you saw it, don't spread gossip.
Just to ask you this one question, like I had mentioned, the self-defense argument made by the suspect, what's your reaction to that if that's used in court or used?
As a defense attorney, they're going to try every avenue. That's their job. The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened.
And it was too many people. It was 75 people there that they said. And they said that every single person that was there got their phones confiscated. So if that's the case, so you mean to tell me that nobody was going live during this time when this actually happened? Because usually when it's like a confrontation or something like that and people got their phones out, the first thing they're going to do is actually, they're going to go live. You're going to see what's really going on with the situation. So I'm not really too sure about that. It just, like I say, some stories just be real funny when, you just really don't have no footage of anything. But when you got footage, like you can see what it really is. Like with this one, I'm just not too sure because the details just don't make sense. But I can tell you one thing, this guy right here, he's a liar. Because did he not say that he ran to the daggone stadium? He got there like as soon as. He said by the time he had got there, I guess he just bled out. He said that he was the one who put him in the car and drove him to the hospital. Am I not lying? He did say that. Well, that's not what it says in the police reports. In the police reports, it says that the paramedics and the fire department was there to assist and try and get him, together. And he rode off in the ambulance. His father did not do exactly what he said he was doing. And that's why I say, he's selling a story because now it's gotten to the point to where it's this guy who has passed away, which is his son, is now a campaign for money. And I don't care what nobody else say, because they're not talking about anything but trying to sell a story. Every time they talk about him, every time they say something about him, they're trying to sell a story so that people can buy into the narrative so that they can be able to get something out of it. And I think that's just so daggone played. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to play a little of this, but not too much, because dude, he lied his ass off for real.
My own son told me what happened. There was never a punch even thrown. So I don't care. There was never a phone broken. We've never had contact with this individual ever.
We never even heard about the phone. So I don't even know what he's talking about when he says something about a phone. Now, I did hear something about, I was listening to Judge Joe Brown, and he was saying something about the boys had actually had stolen his book bag, and they had like a tussle or something back and forth. But I'm not too sure about the situation, what really happened. But they did say, okay, so my thing is this. It's kind of like provoking with intent when it comes down to, you saying, put your hands on me, we'll see what happened. That's kind of, that's where I question everything, if, if the defense going to be able to handle that type of shit. Because, like, that might be the only thing that's kind of, like, hindering him, from proving that it was self-defense. But for the most part, we still got to also know how long this knife was, because in the state of Texas, the knife has to be a certain, I think it's like 5. I'm not too sure, but I think they said that he had like a folded knife. I'm not too sure either on that, but I know it does depend on how long the knife is to determine whether or not, if, he's going to probably be charged for, cold-blooded murder. So, like I say, I'm not too sure. I really don't know. But like I say, this case is just like really, really crazy if you ask me. And I don't know all the details, but I can tell you this. When it comes to court, they're going to look at things a little different. So let's say that it just really doesn't add up. Okay, so what they're gonna say is that it wasn't fair game. What they're gonna say is probably like, okay, he put his hands on him, gave him no reason to be able to put a weapon on him, and actually end up taking his life. Now, I don't think that he intentionally tried to kill him, because if you go back and look at, some of the paperwork, the police officer also said when he was in the car, he asked him whether or not, if he's sure if that was self-defense, and he also asked if Mr. Metcalf was going to be okay. So that kind of like gives reassurance, like, well, we know that you can't say that he intentionally killed him or he came to the, track meet, to kill somebody, because you can't really say that. But when he get in the courtroom, they gonna play that role, and you never know what they say. I mean, the good thing about it is we got a lot of good news with this daggone case. And the good thing is today he actually ended up getting released. So, I mean, you got to think, how much was it? $250,000 for him to be released today? And you also got to think about this too. None of the money from his GoFundMe or whatever, I'm not too sure, where they was raising the money from. But with this whole situation, they didn't even use any of that money at all, because they said the money that they ended up getting for that was not a fund for him to be bailed out of jail. So if anything, it's probably going towards, attorneys and all that type of stuff. So we'll see what ended up happening. But I mean, we'll watch this new footage. I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's something that ended up coming up today as far as him being released on $250,000 bail. I know it's a big uproar on the internet. I've seen a lot of the messages that people been leaving under the comments of other people, creator videos, and like I say, people wilding. Like, and this is why, like I say, I'm not saying things personal. When I say certain things, but just from the things that I've seen in life and the things that I've noticed and the way it looks. This is just what I'm saying. I'm not saying it is what it is. I'm like, but like, if you ask me, it just looks like a big old campaign. And I'm just glad this little young guy, that finally got out. He's on his way home, or probably made it home, probably got his feet up for a little bit. It's a whole bunch of things that it is that he can and he can't do. He's definitely on the box. So, he can't go outside, all that one type stuff. So let's see what they're talking about. Yeah, I guess we got to see what they're talking about, because I have not seen this.
The teenage suspect just bonded out of the Collin County Jail after a judge reduced Karmelo Anthony's bond from $1 million down to $250,000. Karmelo Anthony is now under house arrest, and Brittany Moncrief is at the county jail where he just walked free.
That's right, Chris. Karmelo Anthony was released probably about 30 minutes ago, and this all after an unusual bond hearing this morning. Now, cameras weren't allowed inside the courthouse, but I can tell you that it was heightened security, including 2 metal detectors. Now, Judge Angela Tucker tells us that her office, as well as both families, have been receiving calls and messages that no one should have to listen to.
It's what happens outside.
Threats and talk of race war and all kinds of insanity
that shapes matters inside.
This has definitely rocked our entire community.
While Collin County Courthouse holds countless bond hearings, it's this one.
How far did you travel to get here today?
3 hours.
That's drawing more attention and more security. With not a courtroom seat empty, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony appeared before Judge Angela Tucker for a bond hearing in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a UIL track meet on April 2nd in Frisco.
Self-defense is a protection that applies to each and every one of us.
Anthony's attorney, Mike Howard, asking the judge to drop his $1 million bond to $150,000.
There are 2 sides to every story, and Karmelo is a 17-year-old kid and an excellent student.
Anthony's father, Andrew, took the stand stating Anthony is captain of his school's track and football team. He says his family can't afford the $1 million bond as he's taken leave from work and will need to move into a new home for safety reasons. But Collin County District Attorney's Office argues Anthony's family raised more than $400,000 through GoFundMe and Give Send Go.
It's the most unnatural thing for a parent to lose their child.
Judge Tucker decided to drop the bond to $250,000, taking in consideration Anthony's age, ties to the community, and no criminal past. Anthony must be on house arrest wearing a leg monitor and can only leave home with the judge's permission.
I feel it's fair. Bond, as the judge said, is not supposed to be an instrument of oppression.
And looking forward to reviewing all the facts of the case.
It's those facts that we have yet to hear.
So as a mother myself, I feel that it's very painful on both sides.
I know one thing. It's just sad that somebody even have to go through something like that. You know what I mean? I feel for the little young guy that he got to live like that. His family got to go through something like that, because I can imagine how it is, when people recognize who they are and, the threats and stuff that they probably got to deal with, and how, some people think that they so courageous that they want to leap out there and try and do something. So I'm really hoping that things work out for this young guy. I'm hoping things work out for the family. I'm actually hoping everything works out for the other family. I know that they laid this boy to rest, I believe, today. So, it's like, I just think about all the things that's going on, now this kid is laid to rest, how this family is going to be able to recover and operate. Not only that, how is the family, with their son, what his life's going to be like, after this, what's going to happen during this trial and everything. So, like, I can't tell you whether or not if I think he's guilty or if I think he's innocent. From the information that I've gotten, I'm like, there's only one stipulation where it makes me question, because I'm like, I can understand how they'll say that it wasn't fair play. Pretty much saying, well, dude, Mr. Metcalf didn't pull a gun out on you, but you pulled a gun. Didn't pull a knife out on you, so you pulled a knife out. It wasn't fair game. Like, if he pulled a knife out on you and then you pulled one out and then stabbed him, then yeah, okay, then that's definitely self-defense. They saying, but considering that, he didn't, that it wasn't. But I think people are missing the point that he actually had an entourage around him, and Mr. Anthony could have probably been scared at this time, and didn't know exactly what everybody else was going to do, and had to take matters in his own hands, just probably to be able to make sure that he got somebody up off of him. I ain't saying that he intentionally stabbed dude in the heart, because obviously he didn't even know that he, whether or not if he was still alive or not, because he questioned to find out whether or not if he was okay. So you can't say that it was, that he did it in cold blood. So I don't believe that they're going to be able to get him for murder. I think if anything, they'll probably get close to manslaughter. But with the way things are going and how much of an uproar it is, I think that they could also get scared and probably just let him go ahead and go home. So I'm not too sure. I want to know what you guys think. I think it's a sad story. You know what I mean? Situations happen like this all the time. Especially when the news gets a hold to it. Now it becomes a racial thing instead of people understanding that it was two teenagers, two kids. One, Mr. Metcalf, you can't say that he was a racist kid or anything like that. You can tell who he hung with, and they say he ride around listening to Future and stuff like that. So I don't think it was a race thing, but I think it was a bully situation. I think they probably thought that they were going to be able to, bully somebody that they knew had credentials out there and was known for something. I think they probably just tried the wrong person that day, and we had a critical situation. So what you think about it? I need some comments. I need to know what people think about this. Do you think that he's guilty, or do you think that he's innocent? What do you think about the situation at hand? What do you think is going to actually end up happening? Do you think he's going to be safe? While the situation is going forward, drop it all down at the bottom. Now, I appreciate everybody for their time. You know what I mean? Like I say, just be looking out for what we got coming up. Like I say, we always venture into everyday narratives and truths. This is Vent. Until then.